If you want to grab our men's lifestyle supplement and male advantage ebook, all links are in the bio. So when you think about that, so you say, for example, if you were 198 pounds stacked with muscle, 10% body fat, you're elite. Like that's not, oh, I weigh the average of, the average man in the world. It's not true. Because most guys, who are 198 pounds are 21% body fat or around that mark. So realistically, no, they're actually 176 pounds if they got down to their proper weight. Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to be doing a comparison of the average man, because as I've said before, we're all competing with each other. You're not competing with a tree in life, are you? You're not competing with the sky or this wall. We're all competing with each other. This community is great because obviously we all help each other. But at the end of the day, we're all trying to fuck the same hot girls. We're all trying to get the same, there's enough money out there for everybody, but we're all trying to fight for the same opportunities. So it's like, if you can be, well, this video, those of you who have read the Male Advantage book, it's kind of a play on the straight 7 system that I did I think I did a video on this around about a year ago. I've always written articles on this, etc., and I always speak about it, where instead of having to be a 10 out of 10 in all areas in life, you just have to be a 7 out of 10. Okay, because the average person is clearly a 5, you just have to be about 2 notches above that, where you are well above average. So, above average is a 6, well above average is a 7. Now, if you can be well above average in a plethora of areas, so across the board, you're a straight 7 system, then you're going to come out on top because you've got more diversity and more range than the average person. You might get a great looking guy who's broke, who's out of shape, just like adds up all these components, or a great looking guy, huge penis, in fantastic shape. Physically, you just look at him aesthetically, the guy's like a god, but he's stupid. He's got no money, he's got no assets, no career aspirations, he's lazy, he's not focused, but if you're just a straight 7 across the board, in a type of accumulation effect, almost like I've described it in the book as like a decathlon, where you don't have to win every event, you just have to place pretty high in every event, and then be the best all-rounder, and you tend to finish on top. Well, I thought I'd put that into numbers, where we can actually, guys can kind of look at it as a comparison as such, so that they can see where they rank, or at least have a benchmarked blueprint to follow, that if they know that if they tick these 10 or 12 boxes, whatever, they're going to be, well above average across the board, which is going to make them an outlier male in multiple senses. Okay, now one thing I'm going to leave out is stuff like height or shoe size, stuff like that. It just, you can't control it. I don't like things that people can't control. Okay, I can't make you taller unless you're like 6 years old, and I can tell you what to do, what to eat, how to increase your growth hormones, stuff like that. But these sort of things, they're just silly. They don't really matter. Okay, so we're going to start with the first one. I've got multiple sheets here. Okay, I've written a ton of stuff down. Now the first one is body fat. Okay, so the average man is 18 to 24% body fat, which I think is a massive range. It's kind of silly. So obviously I went for the middle, which is 21%. So the average man is 21% body fat. Guys, that's a big gap, okay? Because the average guy looks his best at around about 10% body fat. 21, that's massive. That's 11% body fat. So all you have to do is bring it down from 21, down, as close to 10 as you can possibly get. You don't even have to be like an avid fitness athlete or fitness kind of enthusiast. I'm going 6 days a week, every morning for an hour. I'm doing my cardio. I'm counting my calories. I'm dieting. You don't even have to take it to that extent. You just have to make sure your calories are good and maybe go to the gym 3 times a week. You'll probably be down to like 15% body fat, which is 6% body fat less than the average guy. So you're going to look massively superior, okay? And at the end, what I'll do is I'll wrap everything up and say, here's where I think you should be. This is the kind of list where I think straight 7, okay? So it's not going to be a 10. Like 10 would be like 9, 10% body fat. I think that makes, perfect sense. But if you just want to be well above average in all areas and you want to, be good across the board, I encourage you to be the best in as many areas as you can. But I'm just saying this is the kind of benchmark blueprint. Just get beyond this level and your life will improve. So I'll go through that at the end and show you the kind of bare minimum that you have to do in order to get to a decent level. Now, the second one is the average, and this is globally, okay? So, of course, it's going to be lower. But, this is like when guys say, oh, I'm short. I'm like, how short are you? Oh, I'm 5'9". I'm like, do you know how short people are around the world? Like, the average height of Bolivian women is like 4'10". The average height of women in Asia is like 5'1". Like, 5'9" is massive, okay? And yeah, granted, you might not be able to go to the Netherlands and pick up a model, but there's about 60-70% of the world's population of women that are way shorter than you are, at like 5'7". So guys that are like, oh, I'm really short, it's like there's a lot of beautiful women out there from multiple areas of the world. Like, don't be too afraid, okay? And this is what I'm going to touch on now in terms of wealth. So the average man on planet Earth earns $18,000 per year, or £11,000 per year. Which is crazy that £11,000 is $18,000. The pound is strong, man. And the average net worth of a man around the world is $121,000, which is probably about £90,000. Okay? So you just have to be 3 times that, and you're absolutely killing it in life. Okay? So, something like 30,000 per year UK, something like 50,000 per year US. Anything that range and above, and you're absolutely killing it. You might not be killing it in America or the UK, whatever, like, you still be doing well, you still have a good life, but you can easily just go like abroad. Like, you can easily save up enough money, make some smart investments, where you go and move to, I don't know, or you take holidays to like another part of the world, like you go around Europe and you're like the king, like you're 5 times richer than anybody there. Like, do you see what I mean? Like, you can just be well above average. If we were doing this for the US and the UK, it'd be different. You guys can go and have a look at that and see what you need to do. I've done one before in the UK where it's like 27,000 per year is the average. All you have to do is get to like 50, 60k per year and you're killing it. Like, this is, it's not that hard to get to, okay, guys, to be like well above average, across the board. Like, there's plenty of guys out there earning 50, 60,000 per year who have got a net worth of $500,000, but they're not in shape. Their bodies just look like a bag of milk, and they're not dressing well. Their hygiene's not good. They don't take care of their appearance. They're not doing certain treatments like facials, whatever. They're not exfoliating. Like, there's so many smaller components, okay, that come into it. They're not doing orthotropics, and that's what I mean. If you can add all these things together, you can absolutely kill it in life as an all-rounder. Now, the next one is muscle mass. So the average guy has 40% muscle mass. It's pretty shocking, to be honest. That's pretty shocking. Now, a good range to be in, like where you become pretty elite, is 75% to 89%. So that is 35% minimum more muscle mass at the lowest possible decent range. Okay, so you can see the benefits of really going to the gym as a man, because the body fat, you can be down at like 15% body fat and be 6% body fat less than the average man, but 15% body fat is significantly less. Once you get into your like 30s and 40s, you're almost going to look like a super athlete, okay? You don't even need a six-pack at that point, because most people will fall off. I think I made a video on this before where I described to you guys how there's almost like an exponential effect. Like, every year you get older, if you can retain what you've got, or you can just kind of keep improving, you can stick it out longer than others. If you're like in shape at 40, or like the only guy at 40 who's in shape, there's like 10 of you in every 2,000 guys. And it just becomes more rewarding the older you get. And with muscle mass, 40% is the average guy, and that's across all ages. If you can bump that up to minimum 75, you're killing it. 89 is fantastic, but you're killing it if you can get up to 75. Like, that's so much more significant than the average man. Now, the average age of a man on planet Earth is 30. What does that mean? You're not really going to change your age, okay? It's just going to happen, or you're already past it. But what I'm saying is, use that as a reference point. So when you've got all of these things, how close are you to the age of 30? Because the average guy is 30. So if you're a multi-millionaire and you're 29, you're well ahead of the curve. If you're 31 years old and you've just started on your journey, again, that's fine. It doesn't matter. You've got loads of time. It's the male advantage. These things take time. We all understand. I've preached this many times. But you are slightly behind. I mean, that is, based on the average, you are slightly behind. So it just gives you a nice, honest reference point as to where you are, which is pretty good. Now, this one's very interesting. This is probably my favorite, okay? And I actually had this discussion with my little cousin the other day. He's like 14. He was 14 the other day, and we were discussing like fitness and my weight and where I ranked and whatever. It's quite interesting. But the average man weighs 198 pounds. Okay, it sounds really heavy. You're like, wow, like I'm not 198 pounds. I'm just shy of it, like just a couple pounds shy now because I've been cutting so much. Obviously, I'll fly above that when I bulk. I've been like 220 this year comfortably. But 198 pounds, okay? But here we go. If we calculate with the average body fat of 21%, it's around about 41.58 pounds. Okay, so you've got to take that off the actual weight so that they can get... Sorry, the 41.58 was to bring them down to 10% body fat, which would be elite level fitness. So once you do that... Okay, yeah, sorry, I've made so many notes. 41.58 is 21% body fat, but the 21.78 is more accurate. Okay, that makes sense. So the actual real weight of most men should be 176 pounds. Okay, that's the real average weight. 176 pounds. So if they were down to 10% body fat, that's what they'd be. They would be 176 pounds. So when you think about that, so you say, for example, if you were 198 pounds stacked with muscle, 10% body fat, you're elite. Like that's not, oh, I weigh the average of, the average man in the world. It's not true. Because most guys, who are 198 pounds are 21% body fat or around that mark. So realistically, no, they're actually 176 pounds if they got down to their proper weight. They just look bigger because they're padded. Like when I bulked, I was 220 pounds. Now that I've cut, I'm like 196, 197. Like there's a major difference once you bring that body fat down, but you don't look too much smaller. That's the thing, as long as you retain the muscle. So it's a weird one, but the average guy 198 pounds is not true. So what I would gauge from that is use 176 pounds as a reference, because personally I think, which is 80 kilograms for anybody who's wondering, or 12.5 stone, I think personally, if you were 176 pounds, 10% body fat with a 80% muscle mass, you would look significantly bigger than a man who is 198 pounds, 21% body fat with 40% muscle mass. See, this is the way I'm doing it, okay? So that's why it's so easy to be better than the average man. All you've got to have is like 5% level of ambition, 5% level of hard work, because most people are lazy as fuck and they do nothing. Like, it's very easy to do, but the average man is not 198 pounds of lean muscle. Do you see where I'm coming from, guys? Like, it's just padding. So if you can, we'll wrap this up at the end, but personally, in conclusion, I'll say it now, if you can be 176 pounds or above and be a low body fat percentage and have a high muscle mass, you're going to look enormous. You're going to look so much bigger and better than the average guy on the street, especially as you move through the ages. Now, the next one is testosterone. So studies online say the average testosterone is 679 or something like that. It's not. They were studies that were done a long time ago. I found this out when my dad got diagnosed with cancer because I was calling the doctor out on his bullshit. I was like, you're wrong on most of this. I know more about testosterone than you do. He was like, well, I've got proven studies. I was like, from what era? From what year? Oh, they were done in 1945. I was like, that was during the war, just at the end of the war. Of course, testosterone levels were high. Oh, we did another one in 1960. Yeah, it's not going to be too different though, is it? It's only 15 years later. It's not going to be that different. On the results, which are slightly lower but similar. In the modern era, I found that the average male testosterone level across all ages was 500. Okay, that's significantly less. That's nearly 200 nanograms per deciliter less. That's massive, okay? So if you can get your testosterone up above 500, then you're above the average man. And like I said, we'll wrap it all up at the end. But that's another massively important one. because testosterone makes you more competitive, more motivated, self-motivated, should I say. So you wake up in the morning, 5 a.m., you want to work, you want to do stuff. Gives you more energy, you're more positive, you feel better about yourself. It's just all round just a better recipe. And I've got multiple videos on how to raise testosterone. Did a workout at Steve Walker. It's a very good video, actually. It was in the early days, so I don't think a lot of people know about that one. I think it's 8 testosterone boosting exercises if you want to give it a search. He's a great guy, Steve. Now, the average guy has a 15-inch neck, but as we said, the average guy has 21% body fat, and they don't have a lot of muscle mass. So 15 is probably more like 13 if you cut down the body fat, like 12 or 13. The average person, the average man, is actually tiny. The average man is actually really skinny. Now, people are taller these days on average, but the average man is actually really skinny and would look like a 16-year-old teenager if they got rid of all the body fat. I'm 100% sure of it because, like I said, 198 pounds, but they're 21% body fat. So to get them down to, they'd be 176 pounds if they were actually like athletically lean. So you think, well, a 15-inch neck? No, it would be like 13. Looks very skinny. That looks pretty pathetic, okay? So then you've got a 22-inch quad. Same thing again, minus the body fat. I imagine that would be like 19, 20 inches. I don't think that would be too big at all. 43-inch chest. Most guys have tits. Most guys have man boobs, okay, because of that body fat percentage. Again, 21% body fat, you will have man boobs. Okay, they won't be enormous, but you'll probably have them. There'll be a lot of flesh around them. Around about 25 is when they start looking like B cups, okay? So I would say that 43-inch chest is more like 40, 39, 40, something like that. I don't think most guys have a big chest, okay? Because you got to remember, they've got back fat, lat fat, that sounds weird, and they've got chest fat as well, okay? So there's 3 areas accumulating. So I imagine it's like 38 to 40 on average. And then you've got a 37-inch waist, which is about right. Okay, it's probably about bang on. You don't need to change that one because a waist is a waist. Okay, you want that to be smaller. It's the only one you want to go the other way for the triangle V shape. But I moved over now to what I think would be the ideal kind of scenario for any guy to try and do and the shape to try and get in. And this is based on the straight 7 system. So like I said, ideally 10% body fat, but we're going to do a reference of like 14, okay? We're just going to go down from like there. I just think this is what I say. I won't say, oh, you should be 10. I'll say as long as you're sub this, you're going to be above average. As long as you're this or above or this or below, you're going to be above average. I think it's a good way to do it. So the first one is 14% body fat. So if you're 14% body fat or below, you are well above average and your life is going to be 10 times better, okay? The longer you can sustain that, the better. Now, if you can drop that to 10, you're going to look the best you could possibly look. If you're busy, you've got 3 kids and a job and whatever, just get to 14. This is the straight 7 system. You will look significantly better than the average man. I think 12 is massively reachable for any man on planet Earth, but obviously it depends on your lifestyle. But 14 is, so above average, it's unbelievable. Now, the next one, I think 50,000 per year. As long as you can reach 50,000 per year, you're on to a real winner all around the world. I think London, New York, places like that, you're not going to struggle, but it's not going to be, heaven on earth. But 50,000 per year, you can have 2-3 holidays a year easily. Easily, if you keep your bills down, you could have a beautiful woman from like Russia who's come from poverty. I've talked about this before of like finding women from less economically developed countries who think 50,000 is a millionaire. You're richer than like 85% of the world's population. It's a great bracket, okay? And you're well above average on the average person, the average man on planet Earth. Now, I think 500,000 net worth, because I think there's like 2 houses. 1 house in London, but like 2 houses around the rest of like the UK, America, whatever. I think most guys can pull that off before they're like 40 years old. I think most guys can probably afford 2 houses. Now, I've told you guys before, I'm not, wild about mortgages and getting houses as a strategy to make you rich. But like a crypto account, a trading account, whatever, like multiple investments, you could own, like property is just an easy way for me to do it for you. Because it's just like, 2 of them equals that amount. So it's just very easy to calculate if you would. So when I put it into terms of 500k, 2 houses, it seems very reachable for the average man. You get to that level, again, you're massively well above average. Now, yeah, there's billionaires and millionaires, so you're not a 10, 9, 8, but you're a 7. Like, you're killing it in life. You're doing really well. And across the board, you're a straight 7. Now, the lowest possible elite level muscle mass, 75% muscle mass. Massively achievable. 3-4 days a week in the gym and a clean diet, high in protein. Yeah, you're getting there easy. As long as you're doing compound lifts, you're lifting heavy, you're doing things like deadlifts regularly and squats, your muscle mass is going to be massive. Of course your muscle mass is going to reach like 75%, because these are like massive full body exercises, or at least massive muscle group exercises where you're going to build a ton of muscle, and you kind of have to. Your body is kind of forced to do so. Next one, like I said, 30 years old. Okay, that's just a reference point. If you can do it around about 30 years old and you can have all of this in place, you're so far ahead of the curve, because if you had all of this but you're 82 years old, the body thing is amazing, muscle mass and whatever, it's amazing, but everything else just doesn't seem that great. 50,000, like, let's say 50,000 a year at 50 years old. It's not celebrated as much as being like 30 years old on 50,000. That's celebrated a lot more, okay, because there's so much room for improvement. As I described before, 176 pounds, 80 kilograms. But it's just, all you got to do, guys, is be above, like, you could be 6'8" and you're like 176 pounds. That's nothing, but all you have to do is be above 176 pounds or 80 kilograms plus whilst being lean. Okay. So as long as you're lean with high muscle mass, whatever, and you're above 176 or 80 kilograms, you're well above the average guy, because the average guy would be that weight normally, but they'd be skinny with no muscle. Okay, so you'd be looking pretty jacked at that weight. So you just have to be above 80 kilograms and lean and jacked and whatever, and you're going to look pretty good. You're going to look well above average. Now, obviously, as a reference to that, you could be 6'5", and you'd have to be more like 95 kilograms to look really good. Okay, but just as a reference, because we're talking about the average guy, as long as you're above 176 pounds or 80 kilograms, plus whilst being lean, then you're killing it, okay? The next one, I think 17-inch neck. I think that's a dangerous area to be in. I've shown you guys some neck exercises before, training stuff like traps and stuff. That's what I've been doing a lot lately. I think that really pads it out. 24-inch quads, and obviously all of this is whilst being lean. I think 45-inch chest and a 32-inch waist. I think if you have that kind of general build, you're massively above average, okay? And you're gonna kill it in life. Now the next one, was education. I missed it off the other sheet. The average person is high school educated. So as long as you finish high school and go and get something that is higher education, diploma, or just something simple, like even just a qualification at your workplace, which is much higher than a high school thing. It's just, just better than that the average person doesn't have. Well, then you're above average, okay? So that's all you have to do is just, you don't have to do this necessarily. You can be a smart person who dropped out of school when they were 12. Like, there's a lot of rich people that did that. But just kind of as a reference point, just think, what is the average person's level of intelligence who's come out of high school? Am I better than that? Am I higher than that? Read a ton of books, okay? Educate yourself. Watch a ton of educational YouTube videos. Like, just get yourself higher up, okay? And testosterone levels, as we said, the average right now in modern society is 500. I think it's going to plummet. I think it's going to go even lower to like 400 very soon. But if you can get yourself to about 600 and above, 600 to 650, you're well above average, okay? You're going to feel that benefit. You're going to be one of the most dominant men in every room. Not amongst a room of like absolute elite winners, like fitness models or people who go to the gym regularly, or just guys that are just totally aggressive naturally. I've had mine tested before. They're up in the 900s. The average guy, like I said, is like 500. But as long as you go over 600, you're going to feel that real benefit, okay? You're going to I think anything above 600 is like a normal man. I think that's when you can function. I think that's like the lowest possible level of functioning as a man. So as long as you get it above that, and it's pretty easy to do, like I said, lift heavy weights, sleep well, eat clean. That's 80% of it. Okay, stay away from like alcohol, sodas, sugar. fluoride in toothpaste, the fundamentals are there. It's pretty easy to do, but that's a wrap up of the average, kind of the average guy. The benchmark, if you would, that you need to be above to have the straight 7 system to be well above average. And if you culminate all of those together and have like an aggregational effect, you'll be an outlier male. Of course you will. At 30 years old with all of that in place, you're a winner. If you want to grab our men's lifestyle supplement and male advantage ebook, all links are in the bio.